yeah, it really got you thinking about humanity. It really did, more than I think any other place I've ever been. Welcome to 10-Minute Travels. With me, as always, is Shane Patrick.
And with me, as always, is Phil Freeman. Today, we're going to talk about Morocco with special guest, Clay Bastion.
Let's get right to it, shall we?
What else, gentlemen? What was the biggest surprise?
I guess I'd say it was how modern the culture was in many places. We would occasionally see women in burqas, but we also saw women in swimsuits. Just didn't expect that.
I found it a little bit relieving and surprising to see a lot of women on mopeds. I saw a couple smoking on their phones, no big deal. Of course, Morocco's known as being a little bit more liberal on the Arab spectrum. It was nice. The one comment that I found interesting that Matt made was that a kilometer away from the beach, you can only see 1 inch of skin, and on the beach, you could only see 1 inch width of fabric, and it was definitely two worlds colliding a little bit there.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing too, just riding along, and you're going by mosques constantly and watching people pray, and you realize that you're in an Arab country, a Muslim country, that definitely the roots are strong there, and it's fascinating for me because it's kind of new to me. But it also, you're going over desert landscapes and by towns that are thousands of years old, and it gets your mind thinking about, historically, the branches of religion, how it all started. Everybody wants to believe in something, and then you see where water pops up. Then people start to stop and build towns and start civilizations. And in a way, when you go to Morocco, you're able to see the roots of civilization there, and it's kind of in your face, more than you'll ever find. Of course, as an American, you're watching people. I don't know how many people are getting around on donkeys and donkey carts and doing old world commerce and lifestyles, and it's going on right now every day, and I don't see it stopping, and ever. Well, it may morph. We saw a lot of cell phones on donkeys, of course, and stuff like that. But it's definitely a fascinating. It's almost like traveling through history, and I found that it was this perspective was definitely needed in my life, just to be able to see a whole different culture and set of values, and a civilization and a country that's running at a different tick. And of course, you're on the African continent. Has a lot of old world influences, and from Europe, colonial influences, and it's a splash of all of it. And I guess that's what really was refreshing and fabulous to see. And to tie it all together on two wheels, of course, was extraordinary. But yeah, it really got you thinking about humanity. It really did, more than I think any other place I've ever been.
One day, we're riding through the mountains, and to one side is this bright, shining light on a tower. And it's evidently one of the world's largest solar stations. And it has these mirrors that go around this tower for, probably a couple hundred yards. And it melts salt, which provides heat, which, runs a turbine. But certainly didn't expect to see that. And it was quite a sight.
All while you're passing a cart with a father and a son, and they're on their way to sell dates. and it's probably been done since 4,000 years ago. Same route.
We also got a tour of a school for, I'd say middle school age boys, and their mothers would take them there, and the mothers would crack nuts while they're in classes, and they would, sit on the floor with a big rock and a rock in their hand, and they would crack nuts, and that was their job, and their kids got educated.
You can see the catapult forward, right?
Yeah.
Right there in the same building.
Yeah, that's quite a juxtaposition, cracking nuts with a rock next to education. So now that that Phil has fulfilled your dream of Morocco, what's next? What's next on your wish list?
A lot of people ask me that, and I just don't have anything. The older I get, the less I like airports and airplanes. And I think my next tour will find me. I won't find it. So we'll see. Phil has clicked a lot of boxes for me. The Dakar Rally, riding in Iceland, and going to Morocco. Those are pretty big adventures, and they're always in my head.
Yeah, what's next? It's always that.
I have a friend I rode with in Europe, and he lives in Tel Aviv, and he rides his dirt bike in the Negev desert. And I always thought that seeing Israel would really be something, but maybe not for a few years.
Yeah, give it some time.
Yeah.
Settle out a little bit.
What advice would you give, Clay, to somebody that's about to go to Morocco?
I guess I'd encourage someone to do some research on where they're going, because they'll discover things that they want to see and need to look for.
Are there any travel tips that might be that you could think of that would?
I don't think you'll need rain gear. But it's got such a variety of land and mountains and water that I think it's a great place to go to, and people that do adventure tours need to put that on their list.
What's something that you wish had been in your tank bag?
I'd say dark beer. I had it in Morocco, but I was able to get through it.
What about remember in Ecuador, Phil, how they really are into the $2 bills, like for good luck? Is there anything like that you guys noticed in Morocco?
Not in particular. Not in particular at all.
Their currency usually takes a wad of it to buy about anything, so it's nothing special.
A few takeaways I did have, after traveling there, for somebody that's about to go there, is you don't need to accept the price that you're told. Yeah. You can go half and don't feel bad about it, and then kind of work your way back up. They'll never sell something to you unless they're making a margin. They just won't. But you'll find that the price that they lead with is definitely not the price you can get it for. And it's okay to say no. It's just okay. And what I found was contact and a smile and no was the best way to do it. You at least made a connection, and you let them know that you're not in their market. And one thing Clay taught me, you may not be aware of this, Clay, but I've traveled a lot, and I generally don't give money to people who are asking for it. But I have changed since Morocco. And it was the time we were eating lunch in the canyon. And you said something to me, and it just really rang true, that, there are people in need out there. And I turned a corner, and I'm grateful for it, that I always keep a little spare change in my pocket. And it's definitely, I think, a good thing to just, keep that currency moving around in pockets that really need it. So thank you, Clay, for that.
What I remember from that day is you want to be charitable, but you need to look at who's asking. And there were these kids that were dressed like they were going to private school, and they had their hands out. I'm going, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
We never talked about what kind of bikes were you guys on. Was there a variety? Were they all BMWs or?
They were all BMW 750s, 850s, and 1200s.
Yeah, really good condition. Rada did a great job wrangling them in. And some of them were brand spanking new.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty boring. We'll just leave that part out.
Well, Shane, there's a screenshot of one of our esteemed riders with his boots up going over a guardrail.
Underhill kind of had a dismount. Oh boy, I'll send you that picture after we hang up. It's entertaining, and luckily he's okay.
Yeah, I look forward to that. And Clay, a little background on Matt Underhill, that maybe this was relived already, but when we were in India, taking a break somewhere, there weren't really guardrails, but there were concrete pillars, and there was plenty of room to go between them and plummet to your death. You'd have to, maybe take a breath between your screams before you hit the bottom, that kind of place. And we were on the outside of a corner waiting for folks, and Matt had one foot down, or on his peg, and he put his left foot on one of those pillars, and it tumbled down into the canyon. And so then we immediately, when everybody showed up, had a safety meeting about how you cannot trust the guardrails.
He didn't follow the pillar.
No, he would not have been in Morocco if he had followed that pillar.
He was quite a character.
Yeah, he doesn't have a bad day, that guy.
Really haven't talked about India, and the one thing I'd say is, if you've been to India and liked it, Morocco would be just as exciting and different.
Morocco, a special guest, Clay Bastion. If you want to learn more about him or any of the other things we do at 10 Minute Travels, check us out at 10minutetravels.com.
And we want to remind you to make sure that your sense of humor matches your sense of adventure.
And please like, subscribe, and share this podcast on all the platforms.